The crash killed 3 young college students who were back home for Thanksgiving break. And tonight,
you may remember the deadly crash that happened while a group of college students were home for Thanksgiving break. The Tesla Cybertruck ran off the road and into a tree.
A family crushed in their own driveway. A Cybertruck that moved with no driver. And Tesla tried to step in before investigators could even ask questions. As the world races toward autonomy, this tragedy exposes cracks beneath the hype. What really happened that morning? Why did the truck move on its own? And is this just the beginning? On May 24th, in a quiet California suburb, an ordinary morning turned deadly. Carl and Noel Takahara's family is now suing Tesla for wrongful death after their parked Cybertruck suddenly accelerated, killing 6-year-old Lia Andrews and severely injuring her parents and brother. The father remains in a coma. Eyewitnesses and doorbell footage show the family unloading groceries when the truck rolled forward with no driver inside. The mother's Tesla app was open, but logs show no commands were sent. Investigators are now probing whether a system failure or deeper software flaw caused the truck to move. Tesla insists the vehicle's full self-driving system wasn't active, but investigators flagged its autonomy features as a possible factor. If true, it raises a bigger question. What made it move? Things got murkier when Tesla staff arrived at the scene before making any public statement. Witnesses say they tried to access the truck's data until police stopped them over tampering concerns. Within a day, Tesla contacted the family's lawyers, a move critics see as an attempt to shape the narrative. After hitting the family, the truck didn't stop. It rolled into the garage, hit a load-bearing wall, and sparked a fire. Firefighters struggled for 7 minutes to fully shut it down, saying the emergency power-off wasn't clear or accessible, a serious flaw for a consumer vehicle. In this tech-heavy neighborhood, grief quickly turned to outrage. Vigils became protests with signs reading, "We are not beta testers," and "Leia deserved better." Many now question if Tesla pushed risky tech before it was truly safe. Tesla claims user error or remote activation caused the crash, but logs from the family's account show no such commands. Only 2 failed attempts by the truck to connect to Tesla servers right before it moved. Experts say this could reveal a critical flaw. The vehicle acted without proper confirmation. One horrifying moment and a single question. Is this a tragic glitch or a warning of what's to come? The implications are serious. If a vehicle can move on its own without a driver or clear command, then user responsibility comes into question. Autonomy isn't just about convenience. It means humans give up some control to the machine. This blurred responsibility is at the heart of the Takahara family's lawsuit. They accuse Tesla of negligence and poor design, arguing the Cybertruck shouldn't be on public roads with its current software. They also question why no emergency override worked, and why Tesla rushed to access the vehicle's data. This case could mark a turning point for Tesla, not just legally, but for what it represents. The Cybertruck was pitched as the future, tough, smart, and self-driving. But for many critics, this crash exposes the risks of launching advanced tech without strong fail-safes or transparency about possible failures. The investigation is ongoing. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, is reviewing the case, and other regulators are gathering data on similar incidents. Whether this leads to recalls or tougher oversight remains to be seen, but the pressure is growing. Elon Musk responded quickly when the story spread, trying to calm concerns and claimed the crash wasn't due to mechanical or software faults. He called it a tragic mistake or misuse, saying the Cybertruck's reinforced build proved its strength. The frame contained the impact, the tires stayed intact, and the battery pack wasn't damaged. He said it could be repaired with minor work. Some saw Musk's quick response as transparency. Others called it PR spin to deflect blame before the investigation was done. Tesla's story also shifted. At first, the company suggested user error or a remote start. But that narrative fell apart when independent data pointed elsewhere. A key focus is the Cybertruck's battery, a new design using a manganese silicon mix for higher energy density. After the crash, emergency crews noticed heat signs under the truck, hinting at a small explosion. Firefighters found a minor chemical fire under the battery, raising concerns about the new tech safety. Leaked documents show Tesla engineers flagged thermal issues with these batteries as far back as late 2024. They warned about sudden energy spikes during acceleration or when shifting from park to drive. One internal email read, "Don't let QA block rollout over lab paranoia." Insiders say this reflects a culture that puts deadlines ahead of extra safety checks. These details now fuel a class action suit from Cybertruck owners, some of whom report similar battery overheating or smoke. None triggered a recall. In fact, Tesla hasn't issued any battery-related recalls for the Cybertruck despite growing reports from drivers and fire departments. Tesla insists each case was isolated, blaming third-party tampering, bad charging setups, or extreme temperatures. But critics say the pattern is too clear to ignore. The debate is shifting from one crash to Tesla's broader safety culture. Supporters point out the Cybertruck's structure held up. It survived an impact, explosion, and fire with minimal damage. Social media buzz praised its durability, framing it as unfairly blamed for a tragic event. Meanwhile, skeptics warn about the dangers of releasing unproven systems to the public. Consumer groups now demand independent audits of Tesla software and batteries, saying regulators gave Tesla too much freedom in the name of innovation. There's also growing criticism of how autonomous features are marketed, often overselling reliability with phrases like full self-driving. Independent researchers have found other incidents tied to the same battery type. Early findings suggest at least a dozen thermal events, yet none triggered recalls, raising bigger questions about how Tesla sets safety limits while pushing new tech to market. Industry analysts believe Tesla's rush to use a new battery formula without extensive testing came from the drive to boost range and charging speeds. But safety experts warned that higher energy density always brings risks. Packing more power into a small space can make failures more dangerous. As questions mounted, Tesla stuck to its playbook: defend the product, emphasize its benefits, and deny any systemic flaws. But for some owners, trust had already eroded. Cybertruck forums filled with worries about battery safety, how to monitor temperatures, and whether software updates could fix potential issues. Meanwhile, a class action lawsuit grew. Lawyers argued Tesla downplayed real risks and marketed a product they knew could fail under certain conditions. If these claims hold up in court, Tesla could face heavy costs, not just from settlements, but from fines and shareholder suits. The Cybertruck, once seen as a bold innovation, was now being dissected for design flaws and weak oversight. It raised an uncomfortable question. Should speed to market matter more than safety? Investigators found troubling details about the Cybertruck's design. Emergency responders and the victim's family had tried to stop the truck through Tesla's mobile app, but the override failed when a server outage cut the connection. If a core safety feature depends on connectivity, what happens when that link fails? In this case, a backup system failed at the worst moment. Further reviews showed the Cybertruck's touchscreen-centered design made basic emergency actions, like shutting off autopilot or hazard lights, unnecessarily complex. Layers of menus replaced simple switches, demanding perfect familiarity even under stress. Critics said Tesla's sleek minimalism came at the cost of practical safety. Former employees claimed the company culture discouraged sales staff from explaining these risks. Demos were kept simple, and the full complexity of features like self-driving was rarely mentioned unless a customer pressed for details. This all fed a larger point. Tesla's design assumed users would handle complex systems flawlessly. But when something went wrong, the burden often fell on drivers who didn't fully know what they bought. Independent testers found that manually shutting down malfunctioning systems could take a dozen precise steps on a moving screen, impractical and risky in a crisis. Longtime Tesla fans turned skeptical, sharing screenshots of buried settings and vague labels. YouTube videos shifted from excitement to tutorials on emergency shutdowns. Tesla's defense argued customers were warned through terms, disclaimers, and labels. They claimed the vehicle was not fully autonomous and that drivers remained responsible. But the argument rang hollow. If a car can move on its own, and if safety overrides need a stable server connection, where does user control really end? Public backlash only grew after Musk's leaked deposition described the Cybertruck as a weapon of transport. Critics seized on the phrase as proof the truck was about image over safety. Either way, the public mood had shifted. Drivers were no longer blindly trusting self-driving promises. They wanted transparency and proof of real-world safety, not just marketing hype. In the end, the Cybertruck crash highlighted what happens when bold design, complex tech, and human lives collide without enough safeguards. No matter how advanced the code, responsibility stays human, and this time, the world was watching to see where it would land. This was just the beginning. Hit that subscribe button and buckle up. Digital Garage has so much more in store.